Episode 3 introduced the FDA and EMA moves, and Episode 5 raised reproducibility and the lack of cross-platform benchmarking as core limitations. This episode brings those together into one question: how does anyone actually know that an AI-discovered drug, or the AI that discovered it, is trustworthy? This is the grading layer for the whole series. Start by keeping two things separate, because the field constantly blurs them. The first is the drug. Does this specific molecule safely treat the disease? That gets answered the old-fashioned way: clinical trials, culminating in Phase 3, and AI gets absolutely no shortcut there. The second is the method. Is the AI platform that produced the drug actually good, in a way that transfers to the next program? That's the harder, newer question, and it's where benchmarking comes in. Conflating these two is the field's single most common rhetorical error. One positive Phase 2a result, like rentasertib, validates a drug. It is suggestive, but it is not proof, that the method generalizes. Now the reproducibility problem, which we flagged in Episode 5 and can now expand. Much of the evidence for AI drug discovery is company-reported, with only limited independent, standardized benchmarking across platforms. That has real consequences. Whose AI is better claims are very hard to compare rigorously, because different companies report on different targets, different datasets, and different metrics. Strong benchmark performance can reflect interpolation within well-characterized biology, rather than genuine predictive power on novel problems. That's the Episode 5 generalization gap again. And positive results are simply more likely to be published than negative ones, which quietly skews the entire visible record in the field's favor. But there's a genuine counter-trend worth highlighting. Dedicated, standardized benchmarks are starting to appear, for example, in Silico's target bench from Episode 6, which is an evaluation harness for target prediction quality, not a press release. And the very existence of purpose-built benchmarks is itself the tell that this field is moving from demos toward real science. What's still largely missing, though, is independent, cross-platform benchmarking, a neutral referee that scores all the companies on the very same tasks. Episode 5 named that specifically as the thing to watch for, and it hasn't fully arrived yet. The regulators, notably, are moving in step with the technology rather than years behind it. The timeline: in January 2025, the FDA issued its first draft guidance on AI supporting regulatory decisions across a product's lifecycle. In January 2026, the FDA and Europe's EMA released joint guiding principles, 10 Good AI Practice Principles, the first coordinated USNU stance. Final FDA guidance is expected in the second quarter of 2026, incorporating public comment. And in April 2026, the FDA opened an early-phase pilot, requesting information on AI-enabled optimization of early-phase trials, dose selection, safety monitoring, trial efficiency. The framing from Episode 3 holds: regulators aren't racing to block AI-discovered drugs, they're racing to build a rulebook for how AI-picked target, AI-designed molecule claims get evaluated, because the old approval framework quietly assumed a human designed the candidate. So the posture worth landing, for a literate viewer. Validation is where hype meets accountability. Trust drug-level evidence, clinical trials, ideally independent and published, far more than method-level claims, especially benchmarks a company reports about itself. Picture two stamps coming down side by side: this drug works, proven by a trial, and this method works, proven by a benchmark. The catch is that the second stamp is, right now, still mostly held by the same company selling the method. So watch for the arrival of a neutral, cross-platform benchmark, a referee nobody's paying, because that's the clearest single sign that this field has genuinely grown up.